Hello, and welcome to What Am I Doing? The Dungeons & Dragons podcast where one experienced dungeon master and one failed scriptwriter discuss D&D topics. My name is Kinsey, and my ridiculously inadequate pod partner is McCaffery. How are you doing? Yes, I got it the right way round.
You did.
And yes, I nearly failed. I saw you smile and the glint in your eye as I struggled to say ridiculously inadequate, which is exactly what I am.
Are you okay, Connor?
I'm not fucking passive-aggressive, Lewis. I'm not.
That was a very unprovoked just rant right then. I feel
it's like we've done this take like 4 times and we haven't. I just needed to get it off my chest.
I mean, you know what?
Which is very bosomly.
I'm sorry. I was just about to say you're doing beautifully, but I take it back.
I screwed up. This is what happens when you have too much power. When you get 4 listeners, you just go to your head.
You see what you've done to him? Yeah. You ruined it.
I do have a quick one before we start. Sorry.
Okay.
What is your favourite enemy?
You.
At least I'm his favourite.
I don't know.
What about a starter enemy?
To be fair, probably as a starter enemy, probably a goblin. Just because it's like it's the go-to, it's the classic.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I do like beating on some goblins.
Oh, that's good. Well, seeing as you don't know what our podcast episode's about any week, today's episode is on goblins. So, with that, let's get to it. So today's episode is on goblins. Goblins are the first enemy most are likely to come across in their playing experience. When is a good time to put the goblins away? And are there alternatives to our green-skinned friends? Lewis, I've been goblin nuts for the last few weeks because there was a sale on peanuts at my local store. What else can I gobble on in D&D? What am I doing?
Oh no! I mean, you can gobble on pretty much anything. I mean, why not? Just gobble on your party members.
Optimism, yes.
Exactly.
Optimistic.
I thought you were going to say Optimus Prime then. I was just about to freak out.
No, he's my end game evolution. That's who I'll become at the end.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, gobble on what you want. Get some nice ale down you, some gold coins, some
wash it down.
Little goblins, yeah.
Something my nan used to say is never trust the peanuts on the end of a bar.
Wise words.
Yes, wise words.
I don't know what that means, but I'm going to live by that.
Well, basically, people, when they used to have peanuts on the end of bars and pubs back in the day.
I used to love that.
People would go to the toilet and then go put their hand in the bowl to pick up some nuts.
Oh,
and
no.
Wash their hands, so you got like pissy peanuts.
I mean, to be fair, I was one of them.
Do you gobble pissy peanuts?
I still do now. I'm gobbling them right now.
For God's sake. All right, so the first question then. Goblins are the most common starter enemy in D&D. What other options do we have to spice it up a little?
I think there are many low-level enemies you can throw at, especially for a level 1 party or even new players. They can be goblins, they can be kobolds, they can be anything like that.
Skeletons?
Could even do skeletons.
Zombies?
Could do zombies. Yeah. You could do pretty much anything. It's just, especially as the DM, it's up to you to, what's the word? Not cater, but amend whatever enemies you're throwing at your party to meet their level.
Yeah, you can fit for purpose. Yeah, trying to work out.
It could be anything. You could throw orcs or bugbears towards them. Just remember to either lower their HP, their damage output.
Reskin,
pretty much, yeah. Or you could even, like, obviously, if it's a group that's brand new to Dungeons & Dragons, then I wouldn't recommend this, but you could even throw higher level enemy at a low level party, but have them be injured. So if you have, let's say, an orc war chief or something, but maybe he's missing an arm.
Yeah, like tactical placement.
Yeah.
There's a reason for something to be so difficult.
Yeah, and I think just things like that, especially if they have some level of injury, which you don't often see in enemies, but it adds a bit more variety.
At the best.
Exactly, yeah.
What about, I mean, this is one of the questions, but why is it, do you think, goblins are so common to be the enemy? I feel like the first game I ever played, it was going to be goblins because everyone, or it's always goblins, which isn't a problem at all. You're almost like excited for it.
Yeah.
I know, like me wanting to get into D&D, then I got to play a beginner's session, and it was goblins, and I was like, oh shit, this is it. I'm playing D&D. Like without them, like, I've not done it. You know.
I think it's one of those things with. D&D is just associated with goblins. It's like with dragons, for example. You always expect that you got to see at least one dragon in most campaigns. I think it's like that. That
was the one disheartening thing about going to the local BDSM club, is there were dungeons, but there were no dragons.
Oh my god. I mean, it's just not worth the time then.
Exactly. And you know what? There were some goblins.
Oh.
Goblin these nuts.
I hate you. To be fair, that's a bit different to the BDSM club I went to. There were only dragons and no dungeons. So we need to.
We'll talk about this on our premium podcast.
Yeah.
What am I doing after dark? All right. Next question. Do you remember your first interaction with a goblin in D&D and what happened?
As a dungeon master, yes, because the first game I ever played, I DM'd for. That was a group of players who were all new. I was new. None of us knew the rules, so we all just kind of winged it for the entire campaign. And it was the Fandelver campaign, actually, and they got ambushed by the goblins, then tracked them to their lair, went through and just massacred them all without a second thought.
Wow.
No speaking, no wondering what they're doing or anything like that.
Wanted to kill.
They must
have had oil. They must have had oil.
Just went to spread democracy.
Yeah, fair enough. All right.
What about you? What was your first experience?
That's what I was waiting for.
I know that you said you were excited about it, but
beginner's session. Everyone wanted to kill the goblin we came across.
Okay.
First one. The goblin did speak to us, but was very aggressive, like with words. And I felt it was better to tie the goblin up, tie him up, and then just carry him for the entire session, which the DM clearly did not want to happen. And then we took him to the goblin encampment, and then bartered for the item and gave the goblin up. But then a paladin on my team, an oath of devotion as well, just slayed the goblin whilst he's tied up on the floor.
I mean, that's
after
beautiful.
the trade. Wasn't even the right...
Wait, oath of devotion and like, did it after the trade?
Fully, like, just massacred the Christian trade.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean...
I was like, okay, well, this is D&D.
Yeah, why not? Do you remember what you did with in the campaign I first ran for you, I think you encountered a couple of goblins.
Yeah.
And every time you had one left, they would have ended up being friendly to you. But
yes.
No one trusted them, and you just kept slaughtering innocent goblins.
I wasn't attacking them. It wasn't actually
me. It was a
me.
group effort.
I actually think I was the one who kept trying to tie them up.
Yeah.
Because I'm a cliche. I just did what I already did in my beginner session. I just keep trying to tie goblins up. And everyone else just was... In fact, I remember tying one up, and the goblin was talking to us. Mm-hmm. And so on our team set the goblin free, let him run away across a lake, and then fired arrows at him like he's like some fucking like meat.
Yeah.
It was horrible. Okay,
that's awful.
Did you know there's a special race of goblins in D&D 5e that's overpowered to the point of not being used? This is serious.
What's this called?
Okay, I looked this up, so this is completely true. Night goblins. They spend their nights gobbling these nuts. And there's even a berserker version called the Fanatic, this is also true, a fanatical goblin that spends their nights gobbling these nuts. And on to the next question.
I hate you.
What can DMs do to make the most common enemy interesting to players new and old? Now, you said you could reskin them, you can lower their stats, you can have them injured, they can have a bit of a conversation. Is there anything else we could do to still use goblins themselves? But yeah, just to, even for a DM, to just, if you're running the same session for people, different groups, you might want to do something different for yourself. Or maybe for players who've played before, but this is like a session 0 with other new players, so you're going to come across common enemies. What do we do to make that a little bit more exciting?
I think first two things that come to mind. One, goblins are pretty stupid creatures. I think their intelligence is like an 8 or lower, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong with that. So, and most DMs portray goblins like that. Like, they're not very intelligent, they don't have their wits about them, they're just a bit like the dumb, mindless enemy that you just go in and kill without second thought. If you have them encounter a group of goblins that's actually very intelligent and leads them into a trap some way, I feel like that would be an interesting twist that people don't expect. Or, I did get this from YouTube, there's a fun riddle which I think
Trademark.
I've used once before by telling you as well. I mean, it means I probably won't be able to use that on you in the future.
Oh, I won't remember. My intelligence
true.
is also an 8.
That's fair enough. I think it's literally called the Goblin Riddle, and at one point a member of your party can be kidnapped by a Goblin King and transformed into a goblin. Placed in a line of 5 of them, and when you approach the Goblin King, he will basically say that you have 2 questions to ask to any of the goblins. You can only ask 1 question at a time. Yeah, to 1 goblin at a time, so you can't ask 1 question to everyone. And the goblins, being simple creatures, will randomly tell the truth or lie. And then if you ask the same goblin the next question, it has to do the opposite, if that makes sense.
Right, okay.
But your friend will always tell the truth.
Yeah.
And you've basically got to use your 2 questions to guarantee who your friend is. And if you get it wrong, then both you and the friend turn into goblins forever.
Oh.
And it's just like a cool.
See, now I think your intelligence is 8 because you've already used this on me.
Oh, I've actually.
And not only did I get it wrong, not only did I not turn to a goblin, but I ended up having a child from one of them.
Oh, of course, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I ended up having I somehow gained a wife and a kid from what is possibly a combat scenario. So
that's beautiful.
I lost. Clearly, I lost the game. All right, well, yeah, short and sweet, fun one. Goblin, just like goblins. Today's adventure is sadly coming to a close, but we are back again next week with the topic: who paints the little dots on dominoes? And as always, thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like to join in on the D&D action or just support this show, then please follow us on Instagram and Twitter at What Am I D&D, or our OnlyFans, Goblin These Nuts. I've been Connor Kinsey.
I've been McCaffery.
Good day.
Goodbye.